Please welcome Elite Pro 9, Kerry Williams.
This is how legends are made. This is how legends are made.
Hello, Life Vantage. I am so excited to be here with all of you today. Wow, what a start to convention, right? So talking about legends, who's familiar with the legendary Lisa Nichols? If you are not familiar with Lisa Nichols, you have got to hear her story. YouTube her and be inspired. But she was a struggling single mom on government's assistance, and she ran out of money when she needed to buy Pampers for her baby, and she only had $11 in her bank account. So she had to wrap her son in a towel for 2 days because she couldn't afford diapers. And she said to him, "I will never be this broke or broken again." She had a burning desire for change. And so she goes from being that to now being a massive motivational speaker, a multi-million-dollar entrepreneur, and a best-selling author as well. But I love how Lisa says she's not extraordinary. She says, nope, you don't get off the hook by calling her extraordinary. She's an ordinary woman who simply chose each day to make one more extraordinary decision. Woo! So today, I am honored to share my story with you in the hopes that it might inspire you. You might relate to it. You might have a bigger vision for yourself, because I think that you will see that I am not extraordinary, but I'm also an ordinary woman that chose one more day to make extraordinary choices, and so can you. So this is my crazy family. My husband, Todd, we've been married 25 years, and our 2 boys, Ryan and Luke, they're 15 and 11. Ryan is our baseball kid, all baseball all the time, and Luke is a beast with jujitsu, and he loves animals. And all I can say is I am so grateful that my entire family has been activated on taking our incredible products for 11 years. Woo! Life-changing, you guys. So people always ask me, Kerry, what led you to really, really build this business? And as I thought about it, I truly believe that it started with a burning desire for change. When you have a burning desire, you're going to find the courage to face your fears and overcome any obstacles. When you have a burning desire, you'll become the most coachable person in the room. When you have a burning desire, you're willing to make the sacrifices necessary to be successful. A burning desire makes you take massive action. So today, I will share a little bit about why I had such a burning desire and how that drove me to develop the necessary skills and habits to help me be successful in network marketing, and how it ended up making all the sacrifices along the way seem small, because Life Vantage has completely changed my life. Woo! So I was introduced to Life Vantage by the incredible Kerry Dickey. It was Father's Day 11 years ago. Kerry left me a voicemail, and she called and said, Kerry, I know it's Father's Day. I know your baby Luke is 3 days old. So I'll give you 24 hours to call me back, because, girl, I have something that's going to blow your ever-loving mind. Thank you, Kerry, for not waiting to make that call. I appreciate you so much, an incredible mentor. So you guys, I watched that ABC Primetime Report in the middle of the night after feeding my little baby. I stayed up researching it. I was intrigued. I immediately wanted it for me and my family, and I started thinking of loved ones that needed to know about this. But let me take you back in time and paint a picture of what our life was like before Life Vantage. So I had been a retail manager for 13 years. I was a store manager at Bath & Body Works. I was literally the girl with the apron. That's not me, but I couldn't find a picture of me because I was before smartphones. But I was the girl with the apron loaded for bear to demo products on people, get them in the door, right? My husband, Todd, was a corporate attorney. You would have thought we had a great life, but in reality, we were each working 60 or 70 hours a week. I felt like we were ships passing in the night. Todd was incredibly stressed, doing work he did not believe in. And we felt trapped because we had 0 options on how to replace his income. This retail girl was never going to make enough to put a dent in his salary. And you guys, I vividly remember being pregnant with our first child. At that time, I had just been moved to a store. The store was underperforming, so I was brought in to clean up the mess and turn it around. And at that point, I'd never missed a day of work, but I was unbelievably sick. I ended up losing the baby, having a miscarriage, and I missed a few days of work. And my employees were upset that their schedule was late. Are you kidding me? I'd poured my heart and soul into that store. We'd lost our baby, and they're upset that their schedule's a few days late. So then we had our first son, Ryan, but we barely got to see Ryan. In fact, we had an amazing woman, and she watched Ryan along with her own kids. But I remember picking him up one day, and he called her mom. It was heartbreaking, you guys. I just remember thinking, what are we doing? This is crazy. There has to be a better way. Desire for change was burning inside of me, but I had no idea how to change our circumstances. So we just kept working. And I really had no knowledge of network marketing until 2008. My Aunt Mary introduced me to network marketing. She invited me to a meeting. I didn't want to go, even though I had no idea about this industry one way or the other. Is there anyone out there that went to a meeting they didn't want to go to? But I went, and my mind was blown that night as I learned about the industry. It was a no-brainer to me. If I believe in something, I naturally share it. I learned about leveraged income that night. I realized that I was trading a whole lot of time for not much money. That night, I saw what was possible if you could build a network and create exponential growth. And you guys, I love numbers. I'm a numbers freak. As silly as this sounds, I remember being newly married, sitting in bed with my husband, using a financial calculator, calculating out, okay, if we save this amount of money for this number of years at this % interest rate, then it's going to turn into this way bigger pot of money. That concept got me really fired up. So at the meeting that night, I saw that same concept of leveraged exponential growth that could turn into something so much greater. I came home, I woke my husband up super early, and I said, babe, we need to talk. I just figured out what I'm gonna do with the rest of my life. There's a better way, and I've just found it. Now, to give you a little background, my parents were both college professors. I was taught to go to school, get a good education, and go to work, and that was what I did. I graduated from college, top of my class. I went to work in a management training program. I was making $24,000 a year, working 70 hours a week. I remember saying to my dad, so you work your whole life for 2 weeks off a year? And he said, welcome to the real world, Kerry. So that was what I did for the next 13 years. Now, I did get involved with that first network marketing company. I worked very hard. I enrolled over 100 people. It did not grow. I did not create duplication. I did not have financial success, but I learned about this beautiful industry. I met people that were successful. And once I knew that leveraged income existed, I had a burning desire for the freedom that it could provide. So after having our second baby, we're in the hospital that night, and my husband has to leave the hospital, leave us alone, go home, work through the night just to submit his hours so his boss could bill the clients for his time, not even for a pressing deadline. And at that moment, I said, some way, somehow, I don't know how, but I'm getting us out of this. 3 days later, Kerry called me with the answer to my prayers and shared LifeVantage with me. You guys, this picture was taken on 4th of July. Luke was only a couple weeks old. Ryan was 4. I had just gotten my pack. I had no idea that our lives would be completely transformed just a few years later. But I knew with every fiber of my being that I would do whatever it took to build this business because I had that burning desire. I remember being in an event early on and hearing about the importance of digging the well before you are thirsty. Thank goodness I started digging that well because 2 years later, that little baby Luke was diagnosed with autism. And I am so grateful that I had already taken massive action. So now we had time and options that we never would have had. In our old lives, we would not have had the time or the resources to do what we were able to do for Luke. But because of LifeVantage, Todd was able to walk away from being an attorney, his life-sucking job, 3 months after Luke's diagnosis, just 27 months after I was first introduced to LifeVantage. He left his job because at that point, we didn't need his income anymore, but we needed time. And we did 35 hours a week of therapy for several years for Luke. And now I can tell you Luke is a super confident, a very social kiddo, straight A's at a school where they have no idea about his past diagnosis. Life-changing, you guys. So thank goodness I had that burning desire and dug the well before we were thirsty. Okay, so here's a picture of my dream board I made when I very first started. I am not crafty, clearly, but I was told to make a dream board, and I am coachable, so I did, right? And it really centered around the idea that my husband was free, and we got to spend time as a family. So it's been 9 years this month that Todd was able to walk away from being an attorney. And our oldest, Ryan, like I said, he's a huge baseball kid. He's in high school now, but in junior high, the games were at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and we go to all the games. And my husband is that parent that gets there way early, sets up in the prime spot, right? And we hear a couple of the kids saying, well, my dad can't come because he's working. And then I hear Ryan say, well, my dad comes to all my games because he no longer has to work. And my mom is here too because she built a business, but that business gives them freedom to be at all of my games. And I just thought that's what building leveraged income means to our teenager. So when you truly have a burning desire and you believe that you have a way to get here, you guys, if you are new to LifeVantage, this is the way. This can be the way. But when you truly believe there's a way, the sacrifices do not seem so hard. And I heard about the concept of short-term imbalance for long-term balance. And the idea that if you're willing to do what most won't for a period of time, then you will have a life that most will never have. And that concept totally resonated for me. I am the delayed gratification girl. But what I found is many people will not make the sacrifices necessary for success. People want results now, and if they don't get results fast enough, they quit. Please do not quit. Do not give up on your dream. I've found that most people dramatically overestimate what can happen in 1 to 3 years, but they dramatically underestimate what can happen in 3 to 5 to 10 years. You guys, I have shown horses competitively for most of my life. When you look at my dream board, a huge percentage of the pics related to my horse in the showing. And it has always been a dream of mine to be a world champion. And on the board, I literally put, I am a world champion. You guys, bold goals to declare, right? Some of you are declaring these small, itty-bitty, realistic goals. Are you kidding me? No, let your imagination run wild. So as my business started to grow, I knew I wanted to be laser focused because I knew what this could give us. So I completely gave up my horse and showing cold turkey for 9 years, walked away completely. And before LifeVantage, it was a stretch financially to even be able to show at a moderate level. I could never compete with those really world-class top elite horses that literally cost more than most homes. But again, that concept of short-term imbalance for long-term balance really paid off. I finally decided 9 years later that it was time to get back into showing. And I realized I could have it all. I could build my business and do what I love. I was able to buy the horse of my dreams, a horse that never would have been possible before. And last year, he actually won a world championship. There's Luke holding the trophy, that golden globe we've been after for so long. And it's a 30-plus year dream in the making. Now, I still have tons of work to do because truly that trophy belongs to my horse, and we've got to go earn one together. But see it, believe it, achieve it. First, you have to see it. What is your burning desire? What are you willing to give up to create the life you never would have had? You guys, I want to share with you a story that is a massive example of the power of burning desire. Marco Rodriguez. Where are you, Marco and Diane? Marco and Diane are pro fives from El Paso, Texas. I met Marco and Diane through Patsy Caulfield. Patsy was my neighbor. Patsy followed up on Marco for over 3 years before he ever looked at LifeVantage. I am grateful that Patsy had the tenacity to follow up with him for so long. So at the start of July, just a few short months ago, Marco and Diane were on a trip out of town, and he had a massive brain aneurysm. And he ended up with 10 titanium coils in his head. He was in the ICU for weeks. Just the fact that Marco is alive is truly a miracle. And again, all I can say is I am so glad he's been activated for years before this happened. But you guys, a picture says 1,000 words. Here is Marco in ICU. But look at this, less than 2 months after getting out of the hospital, Talk about burning desire. Marco and Diane drove from Texas to Phoenix for our LifeVantage Academy, and he presented on stage in September. 2 months later, there was not a dry eye in the room. You guys, talk about against all odds. I have zero doubt that you will get to hear Marco and Diane's story from stage one day. They will not quit. Their burning desire is evident to all that know them. So having a burning desire and going after your dreams takes courage. Would you agree? But sometimes that courage is obvious in huge moments like Marco. But what I've also found is that courage doesn't always roar. You don't have to overcome a life-threatening situation to show your burning desire. Sometimes courage is that little voice at the end of the day that says, I'll try again tomorrow. So if you're having a tough day, can you simply choose the little things? Choose to have the courage and say to yourself, I'll try again tomorrow. So let's go back to Lisa Nichols. Again, she had a burning desire for change. She's not extraordinary. She's an ordinary woman who simply chose each day to make one more extraordinary choice. Do you have that burning desire for change? Do you? Is anybody out there burning? So my challenge to you is keep that fire burning within you and find the courage daily to make those little decisions and be an ordinary person that simply chooses each day to make one more extraordinary decision. Go be legendary. Thank you, LifeVantage.
This is how legends are made.